kind of an issue. Okay, let's pull forward so that this is on the field. Let's lower that. The auto width should be fine. We need to set point A. I really need to look up the controls for that. Trucks in forward. Turn it on and drive. Try and keep it as straight as we can. Stop and turn it off. Set the B point and tweet. Dude, that is not a straight line. That is not in any way, shape or form a straight line. Okay. Set A point. Turn on the seeder, drive straight. Stop, turn it off, and set B point. Back to there. Enable guidance steering. Back to there. That's better. Okay. Turn it on. Whoa, no. Okay. Try that again. Turn it on, cruise control. Bingo. Okay. So that was done. Yeah, but then even back in Farm Sim 17, sheep are easy to look after. Even in seasons, sheep are easy to look after. Cows are a big investment, but yeah, maybe we go for dozens of sheep. I have no idea what the sheep capacity of this farm is, because we got 2 alternate sheep fields plus the main one. Lift it. Thank you. I have the button for turning it on and turning it off. I do not know any of the other buttons yet. Go. That's one of the reasons I tend to start sheep fairly early. So we bought sheep mid-spring, I think. We've had them a couple of days. They're all fed and watered. And I have so many grass fields. Yeah, well, I don't know what to do with the grass, so I'm figuring I might as well stick it in a silage bunker and turn it into silage and sell it for now. But as I said, it's going to be a long trek up to the BGA to sell the silage from the main farm. Fortunately, this farm has 2 silage bunkers, which is something that we were sorely deficient on Lawfolds. So we will be able to put some silage in the bunker, and then even once it's unwrapped, we can set up the next bunker for the next round. So it's not going to be a problem for us. We won't have to ship it all in one day. Okay. So that looks like this seeder is absolutely wonderful. And all the bits of ploughed ground that we didn't plough and left some patches of grass on, we are going to rip those patches of grass up with this seeder. So again, I wasn't sure this seeder was a real thing, but I did look it up. It's a direct drill, so you can plant it immediately after harvesting. I don't have to cultivate fields or anything like that. It has liquid fertilizer tanks, and you can plant anything with it. And it turns out you can plant anything with it. The only problem is this seeder's American. You can't buy it in Europe. So going to great expense, I've imported one, because that's the only way this is going to work. And then the in-game Amazon seeder that's this size, very much the same, except it's not a direct drill. I can't remember if it has fertilizer or not. But I really wanted a seeder with fertilizer. So I'm trying to cut down on the amount of auxiliary equipment I'm running. Now from this fall we'll go planted soybeans again. Oh well. Soybeans is soybeans. Hopefully they germinate. Unfortunately the ground temperature is a little bit too cold at the moment. It's only 8 degrees. It needs to be 10. Oh, I'm an idiot. But hopefully tomorrow the temperature will be warmer, so we won't have as much of a problem. So I think I already answered the is it available in the for the next two stages. I will be able to, I've got some solid fertilizer left over. Now that spreader only comes with big wheels, so I can't use it for late fertilization. But since I have a couple of barrels of solid fertilizer, because I thought this one of the seeders I bought used solid fertilizer and then it was bugged out, so I ended up having a seeder that doesn't use solid fertilizer. So at least this year I will be using up the solid fertilizer on this field and that one behind us on the hill before all the green fields at the top there. And then the last stage will be, we'll run the Valtra with the liquid fertilizer sprayer over the fields for the final stage of fertilization. But next year, or yeah, end of this year, we will be planting oilseed radish in every field without fertilizer. So we'll still use this seeder, but we won't be fertilizing the oilseed radish. And then when we plant the seed, we'll have the liquid fertilizer in the seeder as the second stage. And then the question is how much digestate can we make, and when do we get our cows so we can start producing manure? because that's usually what I end up doing. I'll cultivate in the oilseed radish, I'll spread manure or digestate, and then we get round to planting, and that should then give us 3 stages all the time. Although there's that whole question of what's it called? Crop rotation. And because that seems to function as a bonus level of fertilizer as well. So it might be that we don't have to fertilize 3 times, but we will get 3 stages of fertilization. Just have to see how that works out. I haven't looked at what this field looks like yet. So we'll drive straight through here. I probably shouldn't. Because we're going to come around that bit at least once more, if not twice more. I'm fairly sure this seeder is a 12-meter width, which works nice for this size of tractor. Anything smaller than 12 meters and you just can't make that half turn at the end of the field. Actually watch the GPS. We ran a tiny bit wide there, but then we're right back on line. See the tucks in behind us. Let's have a look at that. So garage seeder. So this is the one we've got. It's only 250 horsepower required, 12-meter use. But yeah, liquid fertilizer, not solid, which surprised me, because I thought, well, we can get that one and we'll be able to use up all our solid fertilizer. And no, you can't, because it's not a seeder that uses solid fertilizer. So, oh. But all the other 12-meter seeders that were available, like the Horsch aggravation pack, I believe, don't play well on this map for some reason. Trees are real. Hedges aren't. And I did briefly buy the Lemken that we used on Lawfolds, but I figured, you know what, I've used that for 2 years. I really don't need to use it again. So I dropped it. Okay, I'll swing round to there. I'll raise it. Drive around the trees on the grass. Drop it back. Oh, we missed a bit. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, I was going to look at fertilization stages. Oh, of course. We ploughed in the grass that was already in this field. So this field is actually Already at 2 stages of fertilization. Completely forgot about that. So that's kind of handy. I need to alter the camera so I can actually see where we are. Hello. Turn on. Thank you. So I think when I get to here, we will tidy up the edges of this. So, probably shouldn't do this, but we're gonna. Okay, that's all done. So now I should be able to get this all lined up. Good to go. Oh, poo. Try that again. Oh. So the only issue I've found is, unlike a solid fertilizer spreader planter, is that this one, the liquid fertilizer will feed out while you're stationary with the heads down. Solid fertilizer only feeds fertilizer when it's moving. But much like a solid fertilizer, you will spread fertilizer wherever you drive, whether it's a plantable field or not. So we'll have the same condition over here, where we're ploughing that field. It's because it's a grass field, it will have a level of fertilization from ploughing the grass in. And that's the mechanic that's used for oilseed radish. If you take a crop and you plough it rather than harvest it, it's a free level of fertilization on the field. Except not so much free, because you're losing income from the crop. Beep beep, and lift that, turn it off. Back away from the tree line and turn around. Every now and again I get a little bit terrified or something. Anyway. So we're past all the obstacles and can now finish this off. Let's put it back on cruise control and go back to here. So we've also bought number 16, which has weeds on it. Go away, weeds. Now this only has one stage of fertilization because we planted it. What does it? No, that's a third. I'm so confused. We've ended up with 2 stages of fertilization here. Now hold on. That's first stage. That's second stage. That's third stage. I don't know. I am so confused. Lift that up. So now we are going to have to back up to make room for a turn by those trees. This is quite an agile seeder too. I think, yeah, buying the 3-point linkage at the back there, that helps with the turnaround, but also it does turn very sharply. So I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, what was the seeder? Seeders. Yeah, so I did buy this one briefly and then decided, you know what, I've used this so much on this particular series in law folds that, yeah, just use something different. For a long time I've avoided using a dual seeder fertilizer, primarily because I do tend to use oilseed radish as a crop. I had a thought on law folds to keep the lambkin just for planting oilseed radish, because on Farm Sim 17 workers don't move seeders or won't seed if all the tanks aren't full. So yeah, if it's a fertilizer and seeder, you have to have fertilizer in the tanks. However, if you want to do it manually, you just need seed. Because I did so much work on law folds was done by workers, I couldn't afford to have this setup. But workers on Farm Sim 19 don't care. So long as you've got seed in a seeder, they'll seed the field. If you don't have fertilizer, then they'll just say, well, okay, tough. No fertilizer for you. And that's fine by me. So another field we are not going to do 100% of. Down. Okay, since this is the last pass at this point up and down the field, probably do the top headland when we get up there, because then that'll eliminate the need to do to come back up this far. So we're going to have to figure out what this, where we are with all this fertilisation, because frankly I'm a little confused right now. Oh, missed the lime on the end there. Is the nice thing about this seeder is it's wide enough and agile enough I can get away with one headland. Let's just keep going. Don't miss the edge. Yay. Okay. I am thinking that this will manage the entirety of this length of the field. Oh, we're out of fertilizer. Darn. Okay. Lift and drive. Okay, so that there is weeds. We'll fold that in. I believe that I've made a minor drain on the fertilizer tank on this side. Probably bad for the weight distribution on that trailer. Not close enough. Oh. Like I said, very agile. Alright. So that will be again about 98%, 99% of the tank. Turns out it needs 1,504 litres. Oh, you've got to be joking. Okay, 14 litres. Caught on the back wheel. And that's 2 sections missed. Come on, let's go. So I'm thinking that we will have enough seed left in to finish this as soybeans. We'll return and do the end of that section. This looks like you've got enough working width to do all of this. Just didn't quite have enough fertilizer. Get us all the way round. And that's the headland done. Okay. Oh, I'm dragging that along the edge of the map. That's clever. Okay, do not drive at 20 miles an hour while hauling this much weight unfolded behind you. And also don't turn too sharply when you do that. Okay. So here we are. Again. Get that back online, lower that, it's turned on. So we should eliminate these bits of grass because direct drill, and it worked. Get to there. There's that. And no trees. And the hedges aren't real. Unless you're a bale. I'm fairly certain that getting bales to go through the hedges is not going to work on this map. Because that is something that Oxygen David tends to take care of. Ever since Coldborough Park Farm, I think. Well, the original Coldborough Park Farm for 17, you could take bales through hedges, which was a problem because you ended up with bales all over the street. You'd be driving down the road and all of a sudden come around a corner and there's 10 bales that you didn't